All right, we are live. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Chris, and of course, this is my channel, Barn on 11970. Thank you, as always, for taking the time to listen to what I have to say. I took about a week and a half off. The 9th was my birthday, so I wanted to spend it with family. Just needed also a little break, because if you talk about some of this stuff too much, it could really get to you. So I'm sure people understand that you need a break from time to time. But this is something that I feel is very important and needs to be discussed. All right, today is the 15th of November, 2017. It is currently 9:05 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And I'm going to talk a little bit about how easily even people that are quote-unquote woke or awakened, whatever you want to say, and thank you for the happy birthday wish, I appreciate that, how even people that are starting to learn what's going on can get affected. And that's through greed. And I've always told people, one of the biggest things I tell people to be very aware of is learning how to control your emotions. Because if you notice, if you listen to anything the government says, any government throughout the world, if you listen to the media and how they report things, even certain YouTube channels, they're all about getting you scared, getting you frustrated, getting you angry, getting your emotions to stop you from thinking logically. The reason that they want that is because it's a quick way to get people to react to something instead of processing it, maybe learning about it, researching it, questioning it, and maybe finding out that what they initially tried to sell you was not the truth. And that is why, if you know anything about sales, and 20 years ago I was a salesperson, so I know what this is all about, and it's one of the reasons why I quit being a salesperson, because I didn't like the way they treated people, is they want to get you right now. That's why you see limited time offers, act fast, limited supply, 24 hours to be able to pay for it, whatever. They make you want to react right away. It's one of the reasons why, if you've ever gone on one of those home shopping club TV shows, they always have a timer. The reason they have the timer, especially when they put it under 5 minutes, is they make you think, I better get it right now. They don't want you to think about things. Now, government is the same way. Now, this is the reason why, for example, I will never spend my fiat currency on Bitcoins. Now, as you can see, even in my description, if people want to donate a tenth of one or whatever, I will accept them. That's not a problem. But I don't spend money on them. And I have, I think, 0.11 Bitcoins. So I think like a hundredth of a Bitcoin. So it's not like I have thousands of them anyway. But my point is, one of the reasons why, for example, Bitcoin is so popular is because of how much it's risen in comparison to US dollars. People tend to follow things when they are on the rise. Because when Bitcoin, for example, I'm just using that as one example, there's going to be more. But when Bitcoin was a penny, was 10 cents, was 25 cents, no one cared about it. No one talked about it. But now that it's in the thousands, people all over the place are starting to talk about it. And if you think about this, what better way to get even the quote-unquote awakened who are trying to do the right thing? I'm not going to tell you that if you get Bitcoins that you're evil or wrong. I understand, or better to use the phrase, I understand why people do it. It's because they want to get away from the corrupt system. They want to try and do something outside of the government. But here's where the drowning in good intentions could end up really hurting you. People have talked about how governments want to control the financial system. Well, if you have, for example, a US dollar or whatever currency you have around the world, well, if you've ever heard of off the books, there are ways to make purchases that are untraceable. Like, for example, if I had $100 in my pocket and I decided to walked down the street until I met some stranger, asked them if they have anything to sell for $100, and they turn around and say, yeah, I'm actually selling a lawnmower, and I buy it from them cash, government won't know about that transaction. Now, so many people say things, and I'm just using Bitcoin as an example for the moment, so bear with me. I'm not trying to bash it to make people feel like they've done something wrong, because I understand, and again, understand why people are doing it, because they're trying to get out of the system. But how does one go about getting that digital currency? Most people are not going to be going to their local bank or their local home, local business, local credit union or anything to pick them up. You have to do it online. And even if you purchase things, let's say, for example, you decide, I'm going to use my Bitcoins to purchase gold. Just for an example. Well, the transaction is going to show up on the website that you purchase from. So there is a way to trace it. But here's the thing beyond that. They want to use people's greed to be able to get people all in one place, to all talk about a certain situation that creates more and more demand for something. And they tend to pull the rug out from under those people at a certain point. So let's put it this way. If you spent $10 on a Bitcoin at one point, and it's now worth $7,000, and you sold them all, and you have a mansion or something, well, congratulations, you got out. But if anybody knows about our great stock market crash in I think it was 1929, the Great Depression, anybody was talking about the stock market. And they kept bragging about how it was going higher and higher. And all these people that knew nothing about it, other than the fact that everybody's making money off of it, entered in until one day they pulled the rug out from under everybody, and millions of people were homeless. Millions of people lost everything. And this is where you have to be careful. So I'm not going to tell you not to invest in it. I want you to not just think about, look how much money it's making. Because remember, they're pricing it in what? US dollars. People are trying to get things like Bitcoin or other digital currencies to get away from the US dollar. But do you see, if you think logically, how you are comparing the value of something by the very thing that most people are trying to get away from? And that's how we have to be careful, because this is a digital currency, and it's using that value, just like how in the stock market, the Dow Jones, what are they talking about on a regular basis now? How high it is. Well, if you know anything about investing, isn't it supposed to be buy low and sell high? And this is one of the things why I like the fact that I have my second channel, my We Love Comics channel, because I've made it no secret that I, talk about comics, because I used to love that as I was a kid. It's a way for me to relax, and it's still investing my currency into something that has value. But they tend to get you to use emotion to purchase things. So most people, a stock, for example, how many people do you know talk about penny stocks? Well, let's say there's a startup company that sold gadgets, and it doesn't matter what it is, and it starts out as a penny stock for the first year. No one talks about it. But all of a sudden, they have some business plan, or they create something that becomes a demand that they didn't even anticipate themselves. Now, all of a sudden, that penny stock is worth $500. Now, the best time to have purchased it would have been when no one's talking about it, which was back when it was a penny. Now that it's 500, maybe 1,000, let's say it goes up to 5,000. Now all of a sudden you're going to have a buzz, and everybody's going to climb on board. And what's going to happen? The people that bought low are going to drown the market by selling, thus lowering the price and sometimes collapsing investments. So it's all about timing as well. But I want you to be very careful about things. And that is why, even though I don't talk about it very much, because there's not much to talk about, I still have all of my gold and silver. Now, I never got the physical coins to one day be rich. I bought it as protection, as insurance. But there's another thing I want you to be very careful about. And there are people that are making videos talking about, I have a video, and I'm sure many people that have subscribed to my channel know about it. And if you don't know about it, my video about the truth about the United States law and you. And I talk about how very extremely wealthy people buy your gift certificate and create a trust in your name where everything has been prepaid since the day you were born, and every bill, every fine, every bit of interest you've ever paid is basically just paying twice over what they do. And the reason that is they make profit off of our ignorance, because your birth certificate, that name that's on there that looks like you, is actually a corporation in your name that they signed over. Well, actually, your parents signed over when they gave your certificate of birth. Now, there are videos out there telling people how there's millions of dollars in bank accounts that you can get. And that is true. But here's the thing. Stay away from that kind of money, because it is all about you having to prove the very enslavement that they've put you in. Because if you fill out all the forms that people try and sell you or try and instruct you to fill out, you have to sign your name. Well, then you're confirming that you're the very corporation that they are claiming you to be. Because like I was saying to another person in a comment, a king never has to explain his actions to anyone. Doesn't need permission. If you are free, you should not have to fill out a form that tells you you are. You shouldn't have to send in a check for $50 or whatever it is for someone else to tell you you're free. And Trap Media says greed is not bad. Well, if you want to think greed is good, you have every right to think that. But greed is something that takes advantage of others, because greed means there's one person with everything and one person starving to death, and instead of the other person sharing some of it to help his fellow human, they'd rather keep it for themselves. So if you want to believe greed is bad, you know, that's your thing. I do not agree with that, and I'm sure a lot of people here would not agree with that statement, but you have every right to make it. But I'm telling you to be very careful. As they say, if it's too good to be true, it usually is. Now, my thing is be careful. Research the things that you're talking about. Think ahead. Don't just think of the numbers. They want you to think, oh, look at the stock market. Look how well it's doing. Look at Bitcoins. Look how high they are. Look at the economy and the job markets. Look how well they're doing. They manipulate these things. A fool and their money is soon parted. So again, if you made thousands of dollars in the Bitcoin market and you turned it in and bought yourself a house, bought yourself a car, paid for everything that you need, then congratulations. If you got out at the right time, that's fine. But it's the same thing like the stock market that created the crash, that created the Great Depression. Many people lost everything. So greed is a way to entrap people. Say, here, we have the one thing that you think you need to survive. I will probably never be a millionaire, and that's okay. I'm not even close to it. In fact, I'm probably $999,999.99 away from being a millionaire. But that doesn't mean I'm not happy. It doesn't mean I can't be successful. I get to stay at home a lot and spend time with my family. I'm not working 9 to 5 behind a desk earning money for some business. I have my freedoms to do pretty much what I want when I want, because I choose to do also things that I love, doing the DJing, also being a massage therapist, also making the orgone pyramids and organic soaps that I make and sell. So, greed is a way of saying, when it comes to the government, come over to us, we'll give you what you think you need to make yourself happy. And this is all I have to say. If money was the answer to everything, then why is it most of the corruption that has happened on this planet is the people responsible for it are the extremely wealthy? Think about the wars. Think about the corporations and the banks. Think about the Vatican. Think about the kings and queens and the presidents. Think about all the things that they cause. Now, if having all of the money and all the possessions you need is the solving of all your answers and all your prayers, then why are they always wanting more? Why do they always have to steal from somebody else? Why do they feel it's never enough? It's the illusion of making you think that the world revolves around a dollar sign or a euro or whatever currency you have in your life. They don't want you to have family values. They don't want you to think for yourself. They don't want you to follow your head and your heart when it's good things to follow. They want you to say, how much money can I acquire? How many possessions will I need? You ever notice, and this is the one thing even with me collecting comics, is you never get enough. You'll get the one that you were searching for, and then you'll need the next one. Or if you're an investor, you might have hit the jackpot on one of them, and then once you get all that money, you want to go in again. Somebody that has a gambling problem. Even if they win, enough is never enough. So if money is all about forever happiness, then why do people continuously have to keep filling what is really a black hole? Because if you base your life solely on greed, then the people who can write their own checks, can enter in any digital number they want, will always outshine you in every way. Because you have to earn what you get when they can just type in a bunch of numbers and manipulate the stock market and pull the plug on the Bitcoin, believe it or not. They can do that at any moment. What concerns me is the fact that it went from, in a span of less than a decade, valued at 1 cent to now in the multiple thousands. How many investments are there that have that kind of increase and that's short of a lifespan? And how many of them out of that stayed that way? So I'm not telling everybody, oh, just take your Bitcoins and sell them and get rid of them and panic and be afraid. You do what you feel is right for you. What I'm saying is, if the sole reason you're getting something is how much money you can get from it, then why would you want to base things on being awoken when money is dictating your direction? Because even in religion, money is the root of all evil. And yet, how many people are bragging about how much paper they have in their wallet or in their bank account or in their Bitcoin e-bank? We need to think differently. Because like they say, you can attract more bees with honey. Or is it more flies? Either way, you know what I mean. The point is, they're trying to give you things that you want. They're the ones that created it. They're the ones that control it. They're the ones that manipulate it. So even if you get a little bit of it, you are never going to be able to buy your freedom. If you are free, you are free. If you have to ask permission for your freedom, you are not free. So any of those channels or websites or people that claim that they have the answers to your freedom, all you have to do is write into a specific part of government. All you have to do is send in a specific amount of money. How are you free when you need to ask permission from somebody else to give you your freedom? How can they give you what you already have? This is why I talk about things like the Wizard of Oz. Dorothy had to find out that she had the power to go home all along. Even in like the Star Wars movies, the Force is within you. It's always been there. I mean, think about, like, for example, even in religion or movies where they talk about the deal, making a deal with the devil. Well, here's the biggest trick that the devil, if he exists or not, who cares? But here's the biggest trick that the devil presents. Even in these movies where they supposedly, you sell your soul to the devil and he gives you 3 wishes, even if they were 100% true, he didn't give you anything that you couldn't create on your own. So he's giving you the ability to think that he's giving you something that you could do yourself. And that's the irony of what all of these people are trying to promise you. We'll give you this and we'll help you with that. Well, what that does is it takes your power and takes your energy and gives it to somebody else instead of keeping it for yourself to realize, because you need real eyes to realize that you have the power to do everything unless you choose not to. Unless you choose not to believe it. Unless you choose to give your power to someone else because it's easier. Why do you think the government provides you with everything that you think you need? Why do you think they want people poor? Why do you think they want people scared? Why do you think they want people misinformed? Now, you could easily get work, depending on how hard you tried. You can easily be informed. All you have to do is research and question what's presented to you. Everything can be done on your own, but they use greed, they use laziness, they use fear, and sometimes just convenience to make you follow their lead so they can profit off of your ignorance or your trusting, your good nature. And that's why I warn people, if you're trying to be awake, then you might as well open both eyes. Because if you're just opening one eye with a squint and saying, ooh, I can see part of what's the real world, but I don't want to see the rest because then I'll have to do work on my own. Then I'll have to take responsibility for my actions. Then I'll only be able to rely on myself. They'll shut their eyes real quick and go back to, oh, look how much money I can make. You think you will ever make more money than George Soros? Do you think you'll come close to making more money than the Vatican? Do you think you will know more than the people who have been in situations you can only dream of or seen in a movie? So you want their control system? If you are one of those people who brags about how much money your bitcoins are worth, or how much money your stocks are worth, or even how much money your gold and silver is worth, and as in other words, if it's just your only priority, in other words, your bitcoins or your stocks or whatever mean more to you than everything else, then congratulations. You're part of the programmed. They love using your greed. Why do you think Hollywood, and that's another thing that bothers me about the hypocrites in Hollywood, all of these people are starting to come out and being exposed for child molestation and all these other sexual predators like it's some surprise, and the rest of Hollywood sitting there all shocked, like they didn't know about this stuff going on, like the word casting couch was just some joke. But they live in that lavish lifestyle because they keep their mouths shut, because they think it will not affect them, and they'll get plenty of hush money. There are people who will be willing to murder someone or sell drugs to a child or even kidnap a child for the right amount of paper dollars that somebody else basically typed into a computer and handed to somebody. It's the ultimate sucker punch. That there are and I think of it as an ingenious plan, that these people can invent money, create any amount that they want, with no effort other than just typing numbers into an account, or back in the days, writing it in a ledger book. And you are given it to as a loan or as a payment for your services. So you have to physically do things to get the very thing that they just create out of thin air. And yet they control everything about you with it. And so many people claim to be awake, but focus on the wrong things. Like me, yeah, I love my comics, and yes, I buy them for investments, but do you think I would keep those over my happiness, my family? Or if they lost value, that I would want to shoot myself? There are plenty of comics I have that are worth nothing. That maybe I spent 10 times more than what they're valued at now. I don't care, because it's not all about the money. We are all guilty of it. But it's how much are you going to let it control your life? There are some people where money is the answer to everything, and they will step on their mother's grave to get it. So all I'm saying is be careful. Greed is going to trap even those who are awakened. You can get everything you want in life if you apply, if you trust in yourself. They want you to have a belief system that they've controlled. I mean, like, for example, even religion. I guarantee you every person that's listening to this who has any kind of religious belief has never had whatever god or goddesses or multiple gods that they believe in. Never once have any of them sat down on your couch, laid next to you beside your bed, and had a conversation with you and say, hey, I'm your God. I'm your spiritual leader. Everything you know about your God or gods or goddesses or what have you has been taught to you by the very people who will do very evil things to this world. Now, they could be right. Who knows? I've never met God. Never met Satan either. That doesn't mean that they don't exist. But if we're going to base it from the very people that have been pretty much lying to us about almost every single thing that we've actually been brave enough to question, then I question everything, not just what is convenient. Name me one person, I don't care how religious your family is, go to a priest, or a rabbi, or whatever, a monk, or whatever, and tell them that God came to your house last night, or Jesus came to your house last night, or Allah came to your house last night, or aliens came to your house last night, sat you down and said, we're going to make a cup of coffee, and I'm going to tell you about the history of the universe, and tell me they won't think you're crazy. So I want you to think about that. A church teaches you all about religion. And yet, if you said tomorrow, if you went to your church that you believe in and told them that whatever God you believe in, whatever you've been preaching, they've been preaching to you, sat down, you tell them, hey, guess what? Jesus came to my bed last night. He sat down, we had a cup of coffee, we shot a couple of games of darts, he told me all about life. You think that priest or that rabbi or whatever would sit there and say, wow, that's amazing, tell me more? Or do you think they'd kind of look at you like there's something wrong with you, like a little screw is loose? What does that tell you about their true belief system? Spell out the word belief. You'll find the word lie in it. And they don't want you to know. They want you to believe or not believe. Because whether you believe or don't believe, you still don't know. And that means you're dependent on someone else to give you the answers. And you'll tend to go emotionally with what feels right. Not what is right, but what feels right. And that's why, for example, when you talk about flat earth or round earth, there are just as many people that will believe in flat earth as there are that will believe in round earth. And both sides will think the other side's crazy or blind. So are they both right? Are they both wrong? Is one right and one's wrong? Well, unless you've left the planet and have physical evidence of it, all you can do is base the information that's been provided on you to the one that you resonate with the most. Doesn't make you right, even if it sounds right. And that's how they can create fantastic events and create good stories to basically cover them up or make excuses for them or make it into something real, and you'll believe it because it feels right. Because we are trusting in nature. And unfortunately, there are people in this world who will take advantage of that. But like they say, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. It is all about taking responsibility, but that requires work, that requires effort, that requires sacrifice, that requires a reboot. You got a virus on your computer? Sometimes you got to erase everything, all the hard work you did, all the progress you've had over the years, all the pictures will be lost, but sometimes you got to start over again. And like Yoda once said, you must unlearn what you have learned. Or better yet, it should be, you should unprogram what you've been programmed. Greed is going to do it. Fear is going to do it. Jealousy is going to do it. Anger is going to do it. These are all lower vibrational emotions where most people cannot control how they react instead of how they process. I could go the rest of my life making just enough to get one or two things that I like here and there and be happy. Would I love to have all the money in the world and be able to solve the world's problems? Of course. But that is not the reason why I've been placed on this planet, to have a large bank account. If that's the sole purpose, then that's a waste. So please, be careful. Think for yourself. Stop relying on other people and don't allow them to use greed to dictate what direction you go. You have free will. You have the power to do anything, including nothing, including thinking this is a waste of time or flat out BS. You can use your emotions because maybe you're the one person that for whatever reason hates me and will not listen to the message because you're so blinded by your hatred or your jealousy or what have you, and you will not listen to advice that may help you become better. That's up to you. That's on you. The world will change when people finally say enough is enough. The world will stay the same if people just keep relying on the same things that never solve anything. Wars have never created peace. Medicines are not there to cure you. The education is not there to make you wiser. You only create wisdom through experience. That is why the word history, if you break it down, the word history is his story. The winner tells the version that is theirs. And that is not necessarily the truth of what happened. Because if you kill the other side, there is no one to contradict you. So be careful. Be alert. Take responsibility. Stop falling for the traps that will continuously keep you deeper and deeper in your own enslavement that you want to get out of. Just imagine if you're on a pirate ship and you write a letter to the captain of the ship saying you want to be free. You want to be free? Jump off the boat and take your chances. You may drown. You may get lost. You may be eaten by a shark, or you may swim to freedom. But you cannot allow somebody else to be responsible for your freedoms. Because if you're on that boat and all you do is hold up picket signs about how unfair it is, or you have the captain dividing up the amount of slaves to hate each other and fight amongst themselves, you're still a slave on his ship. He may give some of them a bunch of gold coins that can only buy the things he's selling. Is that what you want? So, I'm not going to tell you what you want to hear. I'm not going to pander to my audience. Why? Because I have respect for you. There are so many people willing to say whatever they can say to get enough views, to get enough donations, to get enough people to follow them, to do all these wonderful things based on a lie or misinformation, greed, vanity, who knows. And they will pander. I will never do that because to me that's like insulting you, like you're not intelligent enough to get it. We all fall off the path. We all make mistakes. We are all good at one point. We are all evil at one point. There are no exceptions. But what you do as a whole will dictate your purpose in life. If you want other people to dictate your purpose because it's easier, then don't be disappointed on your deathbed when you look behind in your life and you review it that it wasn't everything that you wanted it to be. If you spend your whole life having other people do for you and do to you, then what kind of life did you have? So thanks for listening. As always, I always appreciate those that want to listen to what I have to say. I hope you will share these kind of videos because you all know that before this is even processed, YouTube's algorithms are going to attack my channel and make it unadvertiser friendly. I do have a, Patreon account. If anybody wants to join it, you don't have to. It's not mandatory, but anybody that does absolutely helps. It's in the description, and I will place it here in the comment section, or the live section, and just for yourselves. That's it. Thanks for listening, guys. I always appreciate it. Don't know when I'll make the next video, but you know me, I will not give up. I want to make sure I'm not going to do videos just to do them. I want to make sure they have something worth listening to. So thank you for everybody that commented and those who comment in the future. Be good to one another. Get rid of your credit cards. If you want a bank card from a credit union, do that. Question things. If something's too good to be true, learn about it. Don't learn the hard way like most people. Because I guarantee you, every person that lost everything in the Great Depression the day before thought their world was on cloud 9 because everybody else was telling them it was. Don't be one of those people, because it's better to be out of a situation 5 years too early than 1 second too late. Thanks for listening. Have a great night, and I'll see you next video.